Welcome back to the podcast. All right, are we ready to get started on the next topic? I hope I can get my words out correctly. I am trying to think positive, and hopefully positive will come. And guess what? That is the topic of our next lecture, talk, motivational speech, the power of positive thinking, and why it changes everything. So I hope you're enjoying the podcast this far. There's a lot of new things coming, a lot of things being built in the background. If you want more information or you want to know all the services that I provide, you can go to judithdaniellc.com. And there you can get, who I am, all the things I have to offer, what I'm actually doing. And coming shortly, I will have my hypnosis and my affirmations up on the page. So there's been a lot of work going on. These things take time to build, and that is what I have been doing in the background, is building. So without further ado, let's get started, right? And remember, this is a podcast that you can listen to in the background while you're doing the dishes, when you're settling down the house, when you're cleaning on that Sunday afternoon, whenever you feel like, let me just get something in my ear while I do what I need to do. I hope this is what you'll pull out. So not only will you have something to kind of keep your mind busy while you're cleaning or doing whatever it is, but you'll also be getting something from it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this is my little time for me to empower me. So here we go. The power of positive thinking and why positive thinking changes everything. So positive thinking isn't just about ignoring reality or pretending, like everything is perfect. It's about choosing a mindset that empowers you rather than one that defeats you. When you shift your thoughts from fear to possibility, from doubt to trust, you build a foundation of inner strength. Positive thinking sort of rewires your brain. It can also boost your confidence, and it gives you the mental resilience, to handle life's up and downs, because as we all know, life be life and on a regular basis without a break or vacation. Sorry. But it gives clarity and courage. It's the difference between reacting out of fear and responding with faith. So a positive mindset kind of unlocks a hidden power and ability to maintain that you may have not noticed or even had to use before. So some core concepts in positive thinking, and this is going to be a quicker one because I kind of want to get to the meat of things, because this is one that's often overlooked by people because they think, well, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. But even how I said that, it has a negative connotation, right? And everything has to align. Like you're putting in the work of the action that needs to be done, but you also have to be speaking the positivity that you're hoping to gain. It's not, because it kind of cancels each other out. If you're doing the work that's supposed to be, but in your mind and out of your mouth, it's negativity. And it's a sort of self-sabotage if you really look at it. So what you want to do is have everything in alignment. So there's going to be times that you're doing things, it has to get done. Do you like to do it? No. So then what do you do, and how do you get into a positive mindset when you're doing something you don't even want to do? Well, is the outcome what you're looking for? Because that is what you can pick to stay on top of and to keep focused on and to have in mind is the outcome. So let's take work, for example. All of those have to work. Raise your hand. Right? Everybody's hand should have went up because there is some form of work that we have to do every day. Be it raising children, be it actually going into a place of employment, be it going to school. Like you're putting in work, even if it's just with your brain, you're putting in that work. And let's say, I know I got to do this class. Let's say I got to take this science class. Does it have anything to do with what I'm trying to major in? Probably not, but we know it got to get done, right? So then what is the outcome? A positive outcome that we can hold on to. Well, at the end of this class, I won't have to do it again. If I get it done the first time, get it done right, I pass the first time, we're good on this. Right? So that is something that's positive when it's something you don't even really want to do. But if you go through each subject, you're like, oh my gosh, I still have to do this? Why is this what we got to do? We're going to do this. This ain't even got nothing to do with what, you see what I'm saying? Even though you're doing the work, even though you're probably acing those tests, that negative talk is what's going to contradict yourself and kind of make it a little more harder and a little more stressful. Find the fun in everything, or focus on the outcome, because the outcome is the positive reward we're looking for, right? So let's say you're going to work. You know you got to make this money because you know you got to pay these bills, right? But when you get in there, I hate these people with all of my heart. You understand me? I every time I walk through this door, I get a sickness in my stomach. My head starts to hurt, but I got to be here for that full 8 to 12 hours, depending on what, kind of job you're in. And you're like, oh my goodness, if I freaking, and that's what you're doing all day. That's going to have a negative connotation to what you're trying to do and get done with. And it's going to add this stress, this burden, this extra weight on your shoulders that doesn't really have to be there. Because, let's be real. Can we be real for about 4.5 seconds? Nobody wants to freaking work. And if you're an outside thinker like me, it should be that no one should have to work for money, right? Because if we all have people and this is like off topic, right? My own personal thoughts on how the world should run, but I'm just one person and I got here late. I wasn't the first one that put everything in place. So you know how that goes. So if we all have a skill, we all bring that skill to the table. We should never be hungry. Why? Because we know somebody who knows how to grow food. Cool. We should never be without a place to live. Why? Because we have people over here who are expert builders, right? So then, of course, we're going to feed the people that are the expert builders out in the sun all day, and they can, get everything together. Well, we have to have the material. Well, we know some people that know how to chop the wood. They know how to do all this stuff and put it together. They know the machines to use to make it pliable to be able to be useful, right? So if we didn't have to charge for anything and we could all just come together and bring our skills, we would all eat, we would all have places to live. And guess what? When the work is done at the end of the day, it would be a community worth sitting back and chilling with. Like, yo, she almost cut her hand off today. I saw her, Or man, he was going so fast in that new thing he just built. I wonder what he's going to call it. Anything, right? Why? Because we have time, because we're not boggled down by the 9 to 5, and we can actually enjoy our lives while we're working like they used to do, right? I digress, because that's not the way it is. And people are doing the most over a few fake dollars. You understand? So it boggles my mind on what we could have, how we could live, what we could do. But instead, everything has to be economically whatever. But if we had a tiny little universe inside of the big universe where we could do the things that we needed to do, like we've tried to do several times, I'm not going to pull out, no race cards or nothing, but that has been tried to do, and it's always been externally sabotaged. So I don't know if we're not trying to get back on that path, or there's a meeting going on within the family that I don't know about. But anywho, I digress for a second time. I don't know what this is. Am I confessing today, y'all? All right. So positive thinking is when we are all in this world that we know could be 100% self-sufficient without economic provisions, right? Yet we still stay in this thing for economic gain. So you have to go to work. You have to make the money, right? Because they won't even let you do your own thing, even if you know how or want to. Why? Because there's always someone ahead of us, right? Someone else is in charge of the whole thing. And, it's a power game at the end of the day. So How do we take our power back into ourselves, knowing we live in a world that we're like, what the f is going on most days? Or maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me that doesn't understand everything, but is hoping for the best, but it's looking like OMG, like in real life. If OMG was a person, it would be today's world of the US. So how do we keep that positivity when it seems like there's nothing but negativity around us? Well, we focus on what we can control. Now, we may not be able to control what everybody else is doing. We may not even have a voice to put opinion in that bucket, right? So we dwindle it down to what we can control. I can control how I'm raising my children. I can control my outlook on life because I want a world like this and I can work towards that world, right? So if I want my house ran a certain way, I'm going to focus on that being ran a certain way. If I have to expand just a little bit, now I'm a manager of a company, I'm going to make sure that all my team members know exactly what to do for their position, right? If I have a husband, I'm going to focus on, is my family happy? Is everybody really getting what they need? Am I getting what I need? Do I need a day to just chill out, relax, turn off all the electronics and just breathe or go sit by the water? Right? Am I in a group with people who sometimes we just don't want to talk about nothing? We just want to sit there and laugh, right? Those are the things that you can control. Who you're around, the atmosphere you put yourself in, the mindset that you carry, and what your focus is on. Our thoughts shape our reality. And what you repeatedly think about, you start to believe. And what you believe, you start to create. Positive thinking helps you to build a reality rooted in hope and progress. That's the phrase of the day. Hope and progress. So you want to train your brain to look for the good. Your brain has a negativity bias, right? Because it just wants to keep you safe. So it's looking for all the ways that it could harm you, like the ways that the world could harm you. When you take that step, is your other foot going to go down and take that step too? Okay, we got to make sure, are they breathing actually? Are they taking an in and an out breath? Okay, so, all these things are going on in the background that we don't really pay attention to, but your subconscious is always on, let's protect our person. So not living in fear for some can be extremely, extremely hard. And to those that it's not hard for, they can look at a person that it's hard for and wonder why. Like, why is it so hard? Why can't you? You know what I mean? But sometimes when you're looking at everything as a conglomerate, as like a whole, and you're not piecing it back and just taking a little bit at a time and focusing on what you can control and just looking at your situation and not every other organization's problems or every other group of people's problems, but you're actually in the moment for yourself sometimes and the things that actually matter and affect you. It's called, sometimes it's just minding your own business. And you're focusing on the you things and your family things and the people that are closest to you things, you can start to jump into a positive mindset because of what you have to look forward to. So overcoming it, like that negative mindset, is brought about by practicing gratitude and intentionally noticing wins, noticing beauty, noticing blessings in each day. Because we can all get up, yawn and get out of bed, right? And then be like, shoot, thinking about what we have to do for the day, right? Or we could all yawn and get out of bed. Dang, it's so pretty. Ooh, the sun is kind of lit today, and it's early. Man, that is such nice wallpaper. Oh, I love that picture. Ooh, some coffee would be nice. I can't wait to go have some. Let me go make some coffee. The positive things, the things that you can control. Anxiety, being overwhelmed, too much going in your ears and eyes can set you back. So we practice the gratitude even in the little things. Ooh, I like that. Oh, that's pretty. Ooh, let me get this picture so I can hang it up because it makes me feel like fill in the blank. Or you get these little knickknacks that every time you look at them, it takes you to a happy place. You put things in your atmosphere that invoke positivity, that invoke positive emotion, that guide you to a reflection that was nice, that was satisfying, that was beautiful. You know what I mean? Or with the food you eat. The smells can trigger memories. So on that day that just didn't go so well, and maybe it was your fault, maybe it wasn't. Put something in front of you that reminds you of something good or something positive. When we're dealing with or thinking about that fear that we have sometimes, and it's more like a surprise, like what the is going on, having a way to say, you know what, that's out of my control. So let me stop. Let me think about this. Yeah, that's crazy as all get out. I truly believe that. And then you leave that right there where it is. And you pick up, but my son, daughter, husband, wife has been so amazing today. Maybe I should tell them. Maybe a hug. Maybe you just need to give a hug because you need a hug. Right? Maybe take a step back and pause for the right reasons. Not because you've put your foot in your mouth, but because you just need a minute to just look around and just to breathe. And maybe just to be alone. To not turn on your thoughts and have to think about something. But maybe you just chill out to some music for a good 20, 25 minutes, the stuff that makes you feel good. That's what we have the power to do. Decide what is in our atmosphere, our personal atmosphere. And when we go to work, if it's that job that we don't like, well, why don't you really like it? Have you ever thought about why you just really don't like it? Or is it the atmosphere of everybody not liking what they do, so you jumped on board? But you're actually pretty good at what you do. And you actually not only do it well, but you're innovative, right? We have to work on what are the bandwagons that we're jumping on and why. And is it really our fight? Or is this just something that everybody's doing? So I want to be included. I'm going to do it too. When we become intentional about the actions that we're taking, sometimes we'll see that some of them are unnecessary actions. Sometimes we'll see that, it sounded good when they were saying it, and I thought, but now I'm thinking about it, I don't really believe all that they were saying. Or maybe you just wanted to agree in the moment. But you have to leave those things right where they are. You can't let them follow you. You can't let them in. You learn to compartmentalize, and you keep things where they are. If this is the feeling that I have at work, and I can't change that feeling, I'm going to leave it where it is. Because when I go home, those people, that situation is not at my home. Just like, if I'm having a bad day at home, I don't take that into work. Why? Because those people in my home are not at my work. That situation has nothing to do with this work. So we have to learn to compartmentalize. So that when at the end of the day we go home, Yeah, we could be like, yo, what? I'm so stressed out here. Y'all got me fucked up in real life. You know what I'm saying? Or however we handle that, right? But when you get to that door, make it a habit of all the feelings that you were feeling, everything that you had to deal with, all the criticisms or praises that you got. Stay in that building. They don't come out. So then when you walk out that door into that fresh air, before you get into your vehicle, on your bike or on the bus, that negative connotation that you had with that place stays right at that place where it belongs. You don't bring it into your world. You understand? That place is for making money. That's it. And maybe you love to make money in that way at that place. That's great. But for the other 87 to 90% of y'all who are like, well, I got to do this to get by. Some decisions I made in my past led me to this being what I can do at this time. And keep in mind that you can always change that and you can always elevate, depending on if you're willing to put in that work. So when you're faced with those things, affirmations, which I have a whole 29 episodes of affirmations on a good mindset to have while you're in the workplace for that particular type of job. And those will be put up shortly. But it's like sometimes we just have to put the responsibility on ourselves to understand where emotions need to stay, where they need to be, and where they don't need to be. If you're married, you don't work with your spouse. It's an independent, you have your home life and you have your work life and they're independent. Leave that stuff there. He didn't do anything to you. And he or she does not deserve to get dumped on every night. Meaning, not like you're saying anything bad about them, but you're like, I am so sick of this place. This is what happened today. This is why it's so bad. This is why I'm complaining. Ooh, I wanted to cry. I could fight and beat up people. I'm glad I'm not in jail. All those kind of things. And you're sitting there and you expect that person to want to listen to all that every day, every night. You come home the same way, come home complaining, come home fill in the blank, and you expect them to pay attention, to stay awake, to actually listen and be perceptive to what you're saying and have a good response for you, a response that you think they should have and not their own, because they don't have their own mind. They can't think or see stuff differently than I do, right? There's a lot of arguments that are had that are unnecessary. But it's because you decided to bring that work life, that where you make your money, home with you and dump it on somebody else who has nothing to do with it. That's not fair. That's negative. That's a form of self-sabotage, because who's going to want to really be around that? Let's put that shoe on the other foot. You have a spouse who comes home every day negative. Something happened and it was just so adverse that it was atrocious. And they're dumping all their day on you. They might have asked you, hey, how was your day? And then they just went in. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's not an equal give and take, but all they get is negativity. And then guess what? It's time to go to bed. Right? That's not fair either. So we have to learn to keep our emotions where they belong. When you walk out that door, you're like, oh my goodness, the sun is so nice. Like it feels so warm. Like this is so pretty. Look at the trees, how green they are. Oh my goodness, look at my car. It got gas in it today. Tires are full. Okay, I see you. You make that positivity wherever you can get it to take your mind off of something that doesn't belong in your actual world, your actual day-to-day, your actual life. Where you make money is just a part of that. Affirmations reprogram your beliefs. So use empowering statements to replace the negative ones. Saying, I'm capable, consistently helps your brain internalize that truth. So you walking through that door, going outside after work, and you're like, oh my goodness, I always feel so much better when I leave. It really feels good to be outside. Or if you work outside all day, it really feels good to sit down and not have that heavy machine in my hand. Oh, now I could breathe. And if it gets to a point where it is just completely out of your control to be happy, like everything turns your stomach, you know what I'm saying? It's just, ugh. When you think about going to that place for work, think about what you need to do to elevate to not have to go to that place for work. Or how can you transition into maybe a better place to go to work? Or maybe somewhere that's closer to home. Or something, whatever your biggest negativity is about that place, that doesn't have that. You take that within your power, in your control, and you figure that out. You sit down and have some time with yourself, right? You sit down and you think. You start surrounding yourself with more positive energy, right? You know, and that includes the people, the environments, anything that affects your mindset. Stay close to the people that speak life, you know what I mean? That encourage your dreams and encourage you to dream big, and the ones that lift your spirits. And if that place is not doing it for you, there are so many other places. And now we have so many opportunities to work from our home. So we don't even have to be in an atmosphere that's negative, right? There's so many options today. Pick one. Don't get stuck on familiarity and then say, well, I have to be here because I've been here 10 years already. You don't really, and if you stick around for 10 years, is it really as bad as you're saying? Or are there just certain things that you're thinking about the wrong way? And if you thought about it a little different, could it make it a positive place? Right? Or do you want to go into a place and just be negative because you think that's the it look? Be free with, and be okay with standing alone sometimes. Challenge those automatic negative thoughts. Should they really be there? Or am I just getting along and hanging with the in crowd? When you catch yourself thinking, you know, this will never work, this always happens, they're always so mean, try to pause and reframe and replace the assumptions with truth. So maybe you're thinking, why doesn't she like me? She never likes me. She never da da da. And maybe that's not the case. Maybe there's so much on that person's plate that they don't even understand how they're coming off to other people. Have you ever taken time to have a conversation with that person? And when you do, or if you did, how was their attitude when you were speaking with them? Was it still off-putting? Or was it like, hey, how's it going? Right? Take in the truth. Well, they didn't treat me bad when I was speaking directly to them. But I do hear a lot of people saying how they get treated bad and how they don't like them because A, B, or C. Maybe it's me. Oh, maybe it is you. Because guess what? Sometimes we can be the problem. And we have to learn to be truthful with ourselves. And that is a form of positive thinking. Because guess what? When you face something, it takes the fear out of it. It takes the power out of it. And it helps you to be able to say, oh, this is what I really need to do. So don't be afraid of looking something in the face and being honest. Visualize your best self and then focus on that. And I don't know why we're on the subject of the workplace, so I'm thinking maybe somebody needs to hear this. But you still have to speak life over yourself. The words you speak, they shape your emotions and actions. So that self-talk that you're bringing about, or because something happened and you're just lingering on it because you don't want to let it go. Because why? Because I don't know, I just feel like I have to stay on this. I think I have to stay at 10 and be at 10 and never come down from 10. Right? You don't really have to. You can say, oh, all right, you're right. You know what I mean? Like you can do what you're supposed to do. Positive thinking doesn't ignore the issues. It looks for growth within them. Be solution-oriented rather than problem-focused. So if you're in that job, is how you breathe when you walk in the door. Please don't breathe like that when you walk in the door. But if it is, in your mind's breath, that's what it sounds like. What can you do? What kind of game can you play to be like, you know what? Today's going to be different. You know what? I know I'd be like F them people all the time. I'm going to only do it 4 times when it's really important to do. And I'm going to see if I can only do it 4 times. Because normally it's about 22 to 26, I guess, off and on during the day. But I'm going to take the first quarter. I think that's about 2 to 3 hours. And I'm not going to say F nobody. And I'm going to leave it for the last 3 quarters of the day. Okay. So, and you play that game with yourself. Find little things because you know. That's why you have to be your best friend. Because you know what's going on. So that makes it more enjoyable when there's an inside secret with yourself, right? You becoming more in tune with yourself. You learning to trust yourself and make your voice the loudest voice in any situation. You play that game with yourself. And at the end of the day, when you go home, maybe you tell your significant other about it. And let's say you don't have a significant other. You go home, you get you whatever beverage you like. You take 10 to 15 minutes and you think about what happened today. And then you get to decide, did I like that? Did I not like that? Was it fun? Did it keep me busy during the day so I didn't have to focus on being negative or what was going wrong or how they were treating me or the stuff they were saying about me? Could I just get through my day that way, being in my head and doing my work? Oh, we're on to something here. So then you're drinking your beverage, you're listening to your music, you're whatever you get to do at the end of the day to kind of come down from your day at that moment, at that time. Maybe it's right before you go to bed. And you're like, oh my goodness, you know what, I'm going to do that again. And then the next thing you know, you're freaking having a good time at work. Why? Because you're not so stuck in the maybe not truth, but just the tone of everybody else. So now you're not just on the ride with everybody. You're actually being your own person. You're actually walking to the beat of your own drum. If you've heard that saying before, that is what it actually looks like. when you can quiet the outside noise, do what you know needs to be done in a way that is pleasing to you and that encourages your positivity. Does it look crazy? No, because nobody else knows but you. Well, for a little while till Neuralink is a mandatory, you know what I'm saying? But until then, nobody knows what you're doing but you. But I can tell you that smile on your face was like, you know what? I freaking didn't cuss that person out today in my mind. I really just walked away because I was saving it for 2:30. You know what I'm saying? But hey, that's when we celebrate the progress, not the perfection. Every step forward counts. Positivity grows when you acknowledge your efforts. Yeah, even though as fucked up as it is, if you're acknowledging your efforts, not just the end result, because we ain't even got to the end of the day when it comes to how did it, turn out. Did you get written up that day? We don't know. Maybe one of them, had a hard F on one of those. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever it is, right? But it's like the progress is what matters. It's not the end result, because guess what? We're going to come back and do it again tomorrow. It's the journey of. And you know what? When you start walking around with a different look on your face, and I can almost, I'm 1,000% sure, Maury, that they can see when you're saying F them on your face. They can see that with your lip when it curls up like that. They can see your eyes when you're like, oh, she don't get out of my freaking face. I guarantee people can see that. But then when they start seeing, oh my goodness, there's a difference, something ain't the same when they look at you, because they can see that bliss radiating. They don't know where it's coming from, but something looks different. And it looks better, because people are energy people. Even though they may not know what that means, even though they may not acknowledge it, they can tell when the atmosphere is shifted. You can tell when the atmosphere is shifted, when somebody's aura has shifted, right? So celebrate that win. Celebrate that progress. Get you a little jar to put on your desk and say, okay, this is week 1. I'm going to bring me a thing of, I don't know, you could bring candies. You can bring pennies, which people don't use coins anymore much, but you can bring something. And every time this happens, you put one in there. And then maybe at the end of the day, you go home and you count it. You're like, oh, yeah, I cussed out about 37 people today. Okay, so let's try to break it down to 25. Let's try to do that. I think I might, it's really bad when you be like, I think I can only, okay. But, and I only say this and probably give these examples because I was one of those people like, oh man. Yeah, yeah, sometimes it got bad. I fought in my job before. A girl. She was being very not supportive of my melanin, right? And she was saying some choice words that I figured I did not like. And the loudness. So, things could pop off, but we're trying to keep everything in that bottle and that top closed, right? Why? Because this is where we make our money. This is not the place we go to enjoy. This is not the place we go to make friends. This is not the place we go to hang out. There is an owner who has a business to run, and he wanted me to, or she wanted me to, assist in that venture, and I agreed. I said, hey, that money that you are offering for me to assist you in your vision, I agree to that. I would like that for that, right? And sometimes we forget that that is the contract that we made. And we think we can go into someone else's vision Even if it's a corporate franchised whatever, it's someone else's vision. And we think we can talk to them crazy, and that's okay because we don't like who they have in charge. But in reality, that's none of our business. We go there to do what we came to do. We're not regulating who gets hired or fired. That's not our job, unless it is our job. And then, there's still somebody that we have to answer to. So in thinking that way, being positive is, I said yes to this. They offered it to me. I said yes. I will earn this money and do this service. Are there other people offering money for services? Could I go out and look for those and see if we can come up with something at another place? It's always been within me to do, because guess what? If I get laid off or I get fired, I still have to go back out to a different place to, I guess hopefully it'll be a better place, or it'll be a different place so that I'm not in the same atmosphere. So if that's the case, and this place is really as bad as you say, why not start being proactive in changing your atmosphere? Because we would rather change our atmosphere than go to jail. So if those are the options, and some of us got hands in real life, if those are the options, I would take the being proactive over having to have bail money, because I could have used that on a seafood boil. I could have used that on Temu. I could have Amazoned so good instead of having to give it to them, right? So when it comes down to the decisions you make, what you're in control of, figure out, find, and focus on whatever is positive. You know what that is. You know the end result you're looking for. Maybe the end result is, I get to keep my car another month, right? Or I get to have the food I really want. It could be anything. It could be something really big. It could be something really small. But find and focus on whatever is positive. And watch how your internal, when that changes, your external starts to do the same thing. Don't take my word for it. Try it. And then let me know, hey, you know what, I used to cuss people out 107 times a day after I started keeping track. And now I'm down to 22. And now it's like I don't have enough time in the day to cuss somebody out because I'm focused on what I'm supposed to be doing. Because I'm not listening to what everybody else is feeling and what they think is going on with the person in charge or all those things. It's just me thinking about me. And you know what? I don't really get disrespected. I really have not had someone come out of pocket and say something to me like that. You know how other people say it happens to them. So why am I feeling so fill in the blank? Make sure your mindset is because it's what you would like to have or because it's your reality and not the conglomerate's reality, and you don't want to seem like you're on somebody else's side, so you jump in with them. No, be unafraid to be your own person and walk in your own shoes and walk to the beat of your own drum. This was a fun conversation. I think this was very therapeutic for myself. I hope I gave you some good tips to do and the reasons why we do them, and maybe a different perspective on how you're looking at things. Let me know. I got about 40 more of these, 47 that I'm going to be putting out. And these are all just, I kept with a theme of topics for this volume 2. And volume 1 was more random. You can go and check those out. Those have the hashtag throwback on them. on the podcast, and then the golden ones are the new for volume 2. So make sure you take a listen to them. Some of them are really, really good. If I do say so myself, I've went back and listened to them. And I was like, oh, let me try this again because I forgot to do this, or this makes sense to keep doing. You can listen to them more than once. You can listen to them however long, for whatever reason, over and over again until there's something in there, that you can't get enough of hearing, is what I hope. And you take it with you and you actually start putting these things into practice and see how, because you're changing internally, that's what shapes the world around you. What you think, what you focus on, where your mindset is at, what you say, it all shapes your external. And it all starts from within you. It doesn't start from outside of you and then, oh, now I'm satisfied because of my atmosphere outside of me. No, it always comes from satisfying your inside first. So, if you enjoy this, like, share, subscribe. And until next time, deuces.